Is he on the phone right now?
Yes, he is.
Okay, we're gonna go to Lori Romero. It involves the senior center, and it's, okay, we're
I'm
gonna
here
go
as well. You guys hear me?
to, yeah, we got you, Darren. I'll read the agenda item, and then we're gonna have a discussion on it. It's on page 5. It's under Department Head Lori Romero. We're gonna go to item A. Item A is discussion for possible action to approve a plan to provide in-person programming at the, what are we doing? Oh no, we go to item B. Item B is discussion for possible action to approve a plan to serve the congregate meals and provide limited activities at the Senior Center. Go ahead, Darren.
So I met with Lori Romero and reviewed the new senior center or the food center for activities. It is my opinion that she could safely return to playing, having the bingo nights or the bingo games that they have, and as long as they keep their masks on and the limited exercise group, a small exercise group each there's enough space to space that out, and also keep masks on during that time. Lori and I are currently discussing meals. As soon as those masks come off, we put our people at risk. And so I feel comfortable saying, you know, bingo can happen, exercise can happen, small groups can happen, but I don't feel comfortable at this time with in-house meals. However, that is such an important function for the people in our community, primarily the elderly, to get the benefit of socializing plus a good meal. It's critical. We've discussed ideas such as maybe they could have a social hour where they meet and sit around with their masks on, and they visit, they discuss, they have that friendship, and then they take their meals and they go home. Is an option, or we find a bigger venue for her to be able to spread the people out a little bit better. It's these things that are troubling me. I would hate to see an outbreak occur amongst our senior population, and then, you know, these are our greatest generation. I think we need to do everything we can to protect them, yet we also need to realize how important these meals are, and even more importantly is probably that social interaction with their peer group. So I feel comfortable, like I said, let's recap. I think bingo should happen because they can keep their masks on. I think exercise should happen, they can keep their masks on. Meals, we're kind of putting a pin in it. I just need to figure out, try to find a better plan for it. What questions do you as a commission have for me?
My concern is the meals, because I don't know if we could spread out the hours of operation. I know that'd be kind of hard to do, but you know, out in the cold, the people getting their meals, the volunteers that are handing out the meals outside for an hour, that's asking quite a bit. But I understand the concern about having people sit down, but there's enough tables in that if we could maybe find a way to space the meals out so that people could be distanced and enjoy and have their meal. I know this is working out very well as far as the drive-through, but the winter's coming, and there's going to be snow, and there's going to be ice, and there's going to be stuff in the parking lot. Our volunteers are going to be freezing out there, I guess is the best way to put it. But I guess I understand the inability to house them for in-house meals in person, but I'd like to see that somehow get offered.
I would like to see that offered as well. According to the current guidelines that we're referencing, they have to sit 6 feet apart, and they cannot have more than basically household members sit at the same table unless we can split them up 6 feet apart. It's a little bit ridiculous, I understand. Again, it's that concern if we had one senior without a mask on while they eat. This is where I'm seeing other outbreaks occur in our community. Is I can trace it literally back to that point where they did not have a mask on while they had lunch or they had a discussion inside a car or a discussion inside an office. She does have enough space. We might need a few more tables to abide by the directions from the health department at the state level. Again, the concern is as soon as the seniors remove that mask, they now became even more vulnerable. Does the mask totally protect them? No, I'm not going to say that it does, but there is good evidence the amount of inoculant, the amount of particles somebody takes into the body does also cause greater infections. So that's what a mask does, is reduces the amount of inoculant somebody has the potential to get as you talk, as you eat, as you do these activities. You have more chance of spreading large droplets of saliva and virus along with them that somebody would pick up. I volunteered to work with Lori with the youth group that I'm in charge of. We could come in and set up all the tables and try to space that out and see how good we can do. The other option is, I mentioned to Lori that, could we buy a bunch of HEPA filters and put in place in that room? HEPA filtration systems have been shown to literally filter viruses out of the air. She mentioned funds were an issue with that. So if we wanted to look at that, I would ask that maybe if we had some CARES Act money or something that, that's not a bad thing, not only for the senior center, but that's not a bad thing for all of the county offices as well. Should have a HEPA filtration system in place to keep our employees safe as they work and reduce the chance of a further spread. I'll digress and keep my mouth shut and listen to what you have to say.
Richard? Yes, please.
We just referenced how much we love and how much we care and value that this generation, this greatest generation, our seniors. They are, one of the greatest things we can do for them is give them some freedom. And they are going to restaurants now anyway, because they're sick of being at home. There's something special about sitting down and having a meal with people. So if they're going to restaurants anyway, I see literally no difference than sitting down in this community center that we just spent so much money to rehab for them. I really believe that if we can get, the guidelines in place to the best of as much as is practical, and they are guidelines, so guidelines are guidelines. We can do our best, but I would say that they should have the freedom to choose, knowing full well whatever risk is involved, just like when they get in a car. There's risks they could die. There are risks every time we go outside our door. But I think we should give them the freedom. If they want to take that risk and go and fellowship with their friends, far be it from us to restrict that from them as if we were their parents and trying to protect them like they were children.
Travis?
Yeah, I agree with Ian. One caveat, I think we should just have them sign some sort of a waiver that Lori keeps on file. Just for the thing is, we've all had that grandparent that just, oh to hell, I'm gonna die one day, and then something happens, and then subsequent generations come back and sue the hell out of the county.
Right.
So I think we just need to have a waiver that states you're entering at your own risk, you understand what can happen here, and that's on file. Otherwise, I'm fine with what Dr. Coons and Lori lay out.
Lori, why don't you give us?
What I passed out to you is some things that, once again, health officer Coons and myself have talked about, and yes, we do want to take that opportunity to set up the tables and see, because we want to make this the safest environment possible. But yes, we need to get them back in. Due to the weather conditions, we know that's going to change. I wouldn't volunteer in a snowstorm at -6 to stand out and hand out meals either, so why should I expect somebody else to do that? Plus, The seniors need that social interaction, they're dying for it. They have been asking for over 2 months, when did Kim come back in? Luckily, the construction's been the issue that's holding everything up, but now we're at that point, I can't use that excuse anymore. And like Travis said, they all say, hey, I lived through this, I lived through that, you know. They just want to come back, and yes, we want to make it as safe as possible.
Lori, I have a question, because it's in here in a couple of places. How is it that you chose that a temperature of 100.4?
That is the temperature that all the other programs have been using that I've been referencing with, like Clark County, as far as
Okay.
going into the other programming, that's, and once again, we can confirm that with
I believe that's a CDC guideline.
Yeah, although I think it's a little on the high side, especially because adults do have a tendency to run a lower fever and still be sick.
And that can be changed.
So,
Once
I
again, this is just draft, you know, throw something out there for you guys to consider. It's totally in the works, that's for sure. And the thing is,
Yeah.
whatever you guys approve for the senior center will have to go to Division for Aging for approval as well. So, you know, it's just getting your guys' approval will help hopefully get their approval and working with the public health officer. But we definitely want to take that opportunity to set up the rooms with the tables, see how much, because we want to get the max possible in there.
Darren, you've listened to the commission and Lori, and I like the ideas that Ian and Travis have brought out. What can we, are we overstepping our boundaries with public health officer, or can something be worked out?
No, I don't think you're overstepping your bounds at all. I also want to see this go forward. Our seniors desperately need it. I like the idea of having to sign a waiver so it doesn't come back to bite us in the butt. I think Lori's got a good plan in place. The 100.4 is just the national standard where the cutoff is for any procedures. That's the standard we're using at the hospital as well for all our employees. Again, I think we can move forward, and honestly, I think we just need to try our very best, and if that means we space them out and we try our very best and have something in place that they know that's a risk, I guess so be it, and move forward. Again, we can only do what we can do as far as trying to protect them. Like I said, for a few $100, we could buy some more filtration units that would try to help filter the air. That'd be something additional, but Lori's already mentioned screening them at the door, having them sign in so we can do contact tracing with them, hand sanitize stations all around. Food will be pre-packaged. They won't have an opportunity, in essence, to serve themselves, which reduces the spread. We've talked about other issues that she might face, but you know, I feel pretty good about it. Absolute best scenario, however, is still that they eat at home. I can't help tell you that. I want to see it go forward, but the best I can tell you for reduced spread of the disease is that they are eating in their own home and coming and socializing with masks on, or we find a bigger venue. But I think we can get them spread out. She might have to go to a reservation type system where, you know, the first 50 in the door or the first 50 that get to come. You know, it depends on how much space we find as we start putting tables and chairs out.
Brian had something.
It's Tim's idea, so Tim can tell you.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if we, in regards to mitigating risk, I'm listening as far as the COVID actions, as well as our staff and volunteers out there in the dead of winter. What about the opportunity of having an early lunch and a later lunch and scheduling it so that you can also control how many people that you actually have in the facility for the lunchtime, so that they can socially distance, they can interact, and the staff is inside?
Lori?
And this is something, everything's kind of still in the works, and, you know, what I really would prefer today is you definitely approve the socialization, and like I say, it'll have to go to the Division for Aging. And if you want to carry the the meal part of it, as far as serving in the center, try the 16th for final approval, and give the health officer and myself a little more opportunity, because I think we're gonna know more once we can set the facility up, see what we can actually house at one time, and we have talked about doing 2 servings, once again, so we can accommodate more and spread everyone out. But until we really set up the rooms and the setting, I don't think we're gonna know what that number is. So I would be content with that today, you know, and then on the 16th, we could discuss the serving, or however you guys wanna handle it.
Travis?
I think I would just like to see Lori and Dr. Coons, you know, they know this better than we do, that they just have the leeway to, you know, utilize the best practices, and I'm fine going ahead with it with the caveat that we implement the waiver. So,
Yeah.
my motion is, to, I don't know which one we're doing, A and B, or?
B, and then we'll do A and just.
Okay, so I move to approve plan to serve congregate meals and provide limited activities at the Ely Senior Center, with Dr. Coons and Lori using their own best judgment, and that each individual participating in this sign a waiver understanding the risks of COVID-19.
Second.
Motion by Travis and a second by Ian. Any further discussion?
I think it's great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. Okay, there you go. And Lori, while you got you here, let's just finish up. We'll do on page 5, under department heads, C1 is Lori Romero, Library Director, Senior Program Administrator. Discussion for possible action to approve a plan to provide in-person programming at the county library.
Okay, once again, we're patterning this after Clark County. They have already started doing 1 program per week in all their branches. And their plan is to increase that as the coronavirus kind of settles down. They are doing body checks at the door before the kids go in, require they sanitize their hands, and that they wear a mask and social distancing is practiced. They are limiting their attendance according to space, which we figure we could do 8, and that's with a parent attending and sitting with them. They have shortened their programs to 45 minutes and no refreshments. So we would kind of like to, once again, follow in with Clark County and start some in-house programming for the kids based on that same pattern.
I think it's great.
Any
Motion
questions?
to approve.
Does Darren have any input on that?
Do you have any input on that, Darren, for the library?
I thought they worked on this.
Are you still on the phone, Darren?
Didn't know he had any
I'm
ideas.
still here. I think this is something essential. I think she's done well. She's gonna reduce her numbers. She's going to require hand sanitizing, she's gonna ask for masks. Again, at the end of the day, we've done everything we can to reduce the spread, short of stopping all our activities, which nobody wants to do. So I feel she's come up with a plan. She's trying to do everything she can to keep her library patrons safe, and that's all we can ask of her.
Okay, so that being said, I'll look for a motion to approve the plan to provide an in-person program in the library.
I made that motion.
Motion by Lori,
Second?
second by Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thanks.
Now we'll go back to the road commission meeting on page 3, item D. Item 1 is discussion update on primary and secondary roads within White Pine County and county facilities, completed and future projects, communications with corporations and governmental agencies. Bill Collier.
Morning. Bill or Bill? Road activities is between September 14th and October 15th. Roads receiving maintenance is 30 Mile Ranch, Bench Road, Fish Hatchery, Eastview Valley, Big Wash, Home Farm, Cove Road, and the Cave Valley Road. We hauled screen material to sections of the Cave Valley Road. We've had some issues on that. We came before the commission and requested to purchase a frac tank, and we have picked that up. We have completed some mowing of weeds in the Cross Timbers area. We had some complaints from some of the local ranchers about cattle getting hit in the Duck Creek area. So we actually purchased a sign with a solar panel and a flashing light. Just under $2,500 of the cost. It was probably there 40 days before it got stolen. I don't know if we're gonna come back with that again, with the cost. We completed another round of mag chloride on the WP3 Long Valley Road. We've almost completed our complete GIS project for all standard county roads. Thank you, Mike. I want to make a little comment here. The majority of our county roads are starting to bug dust or flower up in many locations. Just with no water at all, they are just dry. And any place that doesn't have a base to it at all is just fluffing up. We've had people getting stuck on a standard county road. And then with the drought, we've also lost access to a lot of water that ranchers would provide for us, because that's probably where we get the majority of our water. But they're at such a limited flow right now that, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Not only is it not raining, but we don't have access to historical sites that we pull the water from. So what we're trying to do now is obviously work with the water trucks as much as possible, but when these areas blow out on the roads, we're just hitting that area. We're just addressing that blown out area and moving on to the next blown out area. I talked to Public Works in Lincoln County, and they're the same thing. They're doing the exact same thing, the problem that we have. Is there any question on the roads and that problem that we're having? I mean, I'm sure you've all got complaints. I know I have.
It's so dry, there's not even frost on the window in the morning.
It is awful. If there's no question, I'll move on. We completed an RTC project, and that's the slurring of roof. So that is completely done. That's pictures 1 and 2. And then we have a request from the Watson line, and that's to extend the shoulders on WP 44, which is the road to roof. That's pictures 3 and 4. The reason we acted upon that is the bridge that was on 44A, the mine is paying for the demo of that. So, and then that mine dump will be coming forward towards Road 44. But they offered us, we had the timing just right, that we could get all the material from the road on that bridge, move it around, because in another month that material won't be available, so we kind of fast-tracked that project to take advantage of the proximity of that material. So that, we have some pictures showing those shoulders and the increase. Brought us too big to work with. And then we always report the hours of the city of Ely still is White Pine, 45.5 hours, which is no change. Any questions for me?
Anyone?
Bill, I think somebody asked a question. It's less road related, but I know that we're kind of somehow involved. They were asking about the street lights in the city getting replaced. And my understanding was they don't really have a whole lot of like a maintenance department there, do they? It's like a couple of guys that are working with us. I'm just trying to understand how to answer that question.
I believe because the city has their own bucket truck, which actually the county does not. I think they do the majority of their own streetlights. And then we had a question that came up to the DA's office probably 2 years ago, and it was a question from the city: can public transit funds be used for streetlights? And the answer was yes. So they have that ability from that budget to repair those as well.
It's been a complaint since I moved here 6 years ago. It's an ongoing thing that doesn't get fixed very, I don't think ever. But I just didn't have it. Now that I'm inside, I know a little more about how this stuff works, and I wanted to have a good answer. So
yes. So
the answer is
they can do it. They do it internally, and plus, I think it was 2 years ago they budgeted about $35,000 to replace a lot of them with some LED lighting. How much of that would they use? I don't know, but they're aware that they have that ability to do it. The county, in case you get a question on that, we will, when people call and complain about streetlights, we try and hold the complaint till we get about 4 or 5. We just get a lot more value when we call a contractor to go do 4 or 5 lights at one time versus just one. It's kind of a savings of money, but that's how the county does all theirs. Is we just
wait until we stack them up.
Wait till we get a little bit of a list, and then we'll contract them out to be replaced.
Okay. Good enough.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thanks for the update, Bill.
Thank you.
Changes, additions, or corrections?
Move to approve as presented.
Motion by Shane.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chatchis reporting.